Hey everyone, I'm in Terminal B at LaGuardia Airport in Queens. This is the Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge, and I'm about to head up to Toronto for the first time in almost 2 years. I just landed at YYZ, which is the main international airport in Toronto, and there's a train here called the UP, Union Pearson Express, and as you can see behind me here, it has 4 stops. So to get from here where I'm at to Union Station is going to take around 25 minutes. So these machines behind me, you could use them to buy a ticket. That's $12.35 Canadian. But if you use your Presto card, which I'm going to have for this trip, you save just over $3, making it under 10 Canadian. So I'm being told that it's best to sit towards the back, and when you enter, you should sit on your left side. So the train's taking off right now. Again, it's going to be about a 25-minute ride, and it's very nice in here. Seats are very clean. They have electrical outlets right by your knees. And I'm just looking forward to heading to Union Station, which I've never actually been to before. So that's it. Less than a half hour later, I'm at Union Station, which is the main station in downtown Toronto. And if you take a look up here, these are some of your options for what you can connect to. So I'm planning to use the subway. Line 1 out of the 4 lines in Toronto connects here to Union Station. Now I'm standing at the main hall in Union Station. So down below is the 1 line on the Toronto subway. And from here you could also get regional trains to other cities like, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Barrie, Kitchener's another one. I'm at the Fairmont Royal York, which is connected to Union Station. You could walk past the subway station through a little walkway and end up right in the lower level. So the reason I'm stopping here first, I stayed here. First time I ever visited Toronto back in July 2000, I believe it was. I stayed here throughout the entire trip. While the subway is very helpful to get you to certain areas, the farther south you get in Toronto, the more helpful the streetcar will be. The streetcar lines generally begin with a 5, and they'll take you to areas like Chinatown and where I'm at right now, which is the Kensington Market. From late May to late October, the City of Toronto closes streets in Kensington Market for what they call pedestrian Sundays. So I'm here on Kensington Avenue. Behind me is St. Andrews. You could go to the eclectic collection of shops that are normally on this street every day, but then they also have food vendors set up all around. Last time I was in Kensington Market, this place stood out the most, Rasta Pasta. It's a Jamaican-Italian fusion restaurant. So they have dumplings, they have pasta. I'm trying their namesake pasta dish, which is Rasta Pasta. It's got marinara sauce, dumplings, gnocchi, and then there's jerk chicken in there. And I also got an ackee dumpling. I've never tried ackee, I've never heard of ackee, but this is one of the dumplings they have. I was expecting smaller ones, but I got this big one instead. The dumpling is very doughy on the outside, but this is what it looks like on the inside, and the pasta. So it kind of tastes like a regular gnocchi dish, but when you mix the jerk chicken in, it gives it some spice that normally wouldn't be there unless you added hot pepper to the dish. I'm at the Suya spot. This is a West African place where they serve meat on a stick. This is common in Nigeria. One major difference is the fact that here in North America, it's not served with newspaper, whereas over there it is. And you can see the spices kind of grilled into the meat. You can see it right there. Okay, so the spice level is very mild. Anybody could try this. I'm sure it's modified for Western tastes, but this is a really cool place. And if you come here on the last Sunday of the month, you could buy it right in the street, and then the store front is right back there. Koi Japan opened in May 2023. They serve pocket sushi, and it looks like this. This is the scallop one, which is so new. It's not even on the menu yet. But I also got the salmon and cream cheese one, and that one has yuzu on top. So the pocket is like a tofu pocket, and then you have the sushi and the rice on the inside. The scallop one was very smooth and creamy. I'm going to show you what this salmon one looks like inside. So the tofu is kind of spongy and it holds it together very well. I'm here with Tracy Ford. She is, I believe, the Director of Public Relations for the Chelsea Hotel. Do I have that right?
You do.
Okay, so just a little backstory. I stayed here 2 years ago when I visited Toronto, and I had a great stay here. But now in 2023, you've done a lot of renovation, I believe.
Yes, we have a lot. We've renovated all of our corridors, all of our guest rooms in one of our towers, which is 600 guest rooms, 2 restaurants, and we're looking to do some more renovations in our meeting space, and our elevators have all changed.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of construction, and before we started to record, I counted 12 cranes you could see from the rooftop here. So when I was staying here, the rooftop pool was not open, the gym wasn't open, but on the other side of us, that's all open now. Of course, you can see the CN Tower behind us. And I want to just show everybody kind of what the view is like from here.
So the hotel is conveniently located right downtown. We're steps to great attractions, the Young Dundas Square, which you're seeing right now. So lots of good shopping. Your dollar is very strong, and so, you know, it goes a long way in our city. And at our hotel, you can show your guest room key and get a discount.
At Little Canada, I believe, which is right down...
Yeah, one of our new key attraction partners is Little Canada, a miniature version of Canada.
Okay, so then when I kind of go over here, you got the CN Tower, which is probably the most iconic landmark. Was the Chelsea Hotel here before the CN Tower?
No, the Chelsea came in after. I believe the CN Tower came in 72, and we were built in 75.
And if I have this correct, this hotel has the most rooms of any in Canada.
That's right. We're the largest hotel in Canada.
Now I'm at Little Canada on Yonge Street, and in 2022, this relatively new museum won Canada's award for Best Attraction in Ontario. So this museum has miniature versions of cities, mostly Eastern ones. And if you need to verify that this is a Canadian city, just take a look below on this side. That's a Tim Hortons. Niagara Falls will be the first thing you see when you enter the museum. You have the water there, and then on the other side is the city itself. There's the tower. As of now, the exhibits are all Ontario and Quebec, but there are plans in the works to add other cities, including ones in British Columbia, Alberta, the Prairies. And right over here, we have the Miniature Maker Studio. So this is where some of the things are made. I'm told that it takes about 2 years in order to make a city. And this is Little Quebec. And this is really cool because here you have the hotel I stayed at the last time I was in Quebec City. And that hotel is the Chateau Frontenac. I'm having dinner at Constantine, which is a Mediterranean restaurant. It's connected to the hotel. You have to enter the restaurant through the hotel. One thing I've never seen before is a non-alcoholic drink section of a menu that's referred to as placebo. So I'm going to start off with the clean sweep. It's got raspberry, cherry, mint, a few other ingredients in there. And for my small plates, I'm starting off with the salmon crudo. So take a look at this. When I first looked at this, I thought those were pickled onions, but it's pickled rhubarb, smoked olive oil, microgreens. That's salmon there, and I can't wait. So the rhubarb adds a tartness to the salmon. It adds a little bit of crunchiness as well. I've had strawberry rhubarb pie, strawberry rhubarb macarons, but I've never had it in this way. And I think it's a pretty cool idea. So now I'm trying the burrata. This is definitely a more sophisticated presentation. So if you take a look here, it's got coriander, also has sesame seeds, and so like kind of crunches in your teeth when you eat it. And it's also like very rich, very creamy. And I'm so glad they suggested this. I did not order it, but I saw like several people order it, and I'm glad I tried. this grilled gem lettuce, it's not one of the entrees or appetizers, it's a side. So this is lettuce with Greek yogurt on top. That's the pickled rhubarb that you saw in the salmon earlier. And then there's za'atar. You can see the za'atar sprinkled throughout. And for the entree, what I ordered was the grilled hanger steak. So it's an 8-ounce hanger steak. It's in a red wine juice. And then right there you can see, those are little peppers down there. Well, I gotta describe the grilled gem lettuce. I'm enjoying the steak, but with that dish, I would definitely say it's grilled, so I'm not used to lettuce being grilled. I may have never had that, but I would say the yogurt added a smoothness to it. But when I first tried it, definitely the pickled rhubarb, you know, the bitterness of it kind of was the dominant flavor. But then at the end, I definitely tasted the za'atar, so that's something I definitely recommend trying if you've never had it before, and chances are you probably haven't. And by the way, I'm seated at the chef's bar, which in my opinion is the best seat in the house. That's where I recommend you sit when you come here. Here's what it looks like. This is the salad station right here. And then you got this in the middle. And then off to the side, that's where the pizza oven is. Now it's time for dessert. So I'm gonna be trying the apple baklava. So that's chantilly cream, that's the baklava. And then you see the green there, that's pistachio dust, and the maroon, those are rose petals. So before I have my last course, I want to talk about the 4 savory dishes I tried. So number 1 was the salmon. If I come back here, I would absolutely order that. I would put that in the category of worth traveling for. The burrata was interesting. If somebody else ordered it, I might even encourage someone else to order it so I could share it with them. But the salmon was definitely my favorite. Then as far as the gem lettuce went, that was an interesting thing to try. I enjoyed it. And the hanger steak, you really can't go wrong with. But out of everything I tried, the one thing I would make sure I ordered if I came back definitely would be the salmon crudo. So everything else was good, but next time I'll try different things, except I'll definitely do that one again. I'm starting my first full day in Toronto at Hot Black Coffee, and their slogan is, "You can all go fuck off." So this is part of the Andor Hotel where I'm gonna be staying while I'm in town. The Andor House also has a barber shop. So the Crow's Nest started in Toronto at Kensington Market, and while I'm here, I'm gonna get a haircut. I'm at Cafe the Cam in the Church Wellesley area of Toronto. So I'm trying something I've never tried before. This is a croffle. So it looks like a waffle, but it's supposed to have the texture of a croissant. And I also got myself a mango bingsu. Mango because it's mango season right now. So if you look at the croffle, so the croffle is kind of flaky right there. Okay. And it does taste like a croissant. It's a pretty cool idea that they have here. So Jennifer was nice enough to join me here. And Jennifer, the croffle was great. Excellent job on that. It definitely had the texture of a croissant.
Yeah.
So now I got the mango bingsu. I know it's shaved ice. What would be the difference between like bingsu and let's say Taiwanese shaved ice?
The ice is a little bit different because we used to use that milk with milk, also condensed milk together, and then for texture we put a little bit water there.
Oh, so you use water?
Yeah, water in it, but most of them is like milk and condensed milk.
And what does Cafe the Cam mean?
The Cafe de Cam is because like I want to like introduce a Korean style coffee shop, so I just put the K instead of a C, so it's just a K-A-F-E. It's a cafe. The Cam just come in like we have a sweet. It has a meaning of sweet.
Okay, sweet.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah, right.
Well, menaso bengapsumnida.
Correct.
감사합니다.
네, 별 말씀을요.
Okay, 안녕히 계세요.
네.
Here with Mr. John Lee, and we're at a Korean barbecue. We're trying, I know how to say sogogi, but I'm sure there's a another name for the steak that we have?
It's basically a marinated beef, thin slices of, with soy, a bit of onion, sesame oil, of course, and a little bit, depends on the recipe, but this one probably doesn't have it, but sometimes people add a little bit of rice wine vinegar. But overall, this is your classic Seoul-style barbecue. We got a little bit of East, a little bit of Western influences. What you're trying, obviously, Brian, now is the beef, which is fantastic. It's cooked over the open flame here at the table, which is fantastic for freshness. People always complain, why am I paying so much if I got to cook the food myself? Well, because this food doesn't really have a lifespan beyond a few minutes after it's cooked, so it's best to enjoy it when it's great. And if you can see,
This is what it looks like.
oh yes, fabulous. Look at that with the mushrooms, great.
So you live in one Koreatown.
I do.
We're in North Koreatown. Not
Correct.
as in North Korea, but Koreatown North would be more accurate.
You know what? Ironically, the polarization still works. Yeah, we have north and we have south. It's the same people divided by two different geographies. But this Koreatown is a bit more current. The Koreatown that I live in is more of a traditional Korea from 1970, 1975, the culture that created the restaurants that are still there. Here, we're seeing a lot more Koreans coming recently from Korea in the last potentially 5 to 10 years. And they've also brought their kind of version of updated Korean cuisine. So Daldonghae, which is the restaurant that we're at right now, really kind of specializes in what they call Seoul style or big city style barbecue.
And what do we have here, John?
That's called mulnaengmyeon, and it's a North Korean specialty. It's actually cold noodles, and there's actually shaved ice inside the actual noodle. And before air conditioning or other technological conveniences, this is what people ate traditionally to counteract the heat in the course of the day, because if you're working in the fields or in any kind of job, you need to eat, and if it's so hot, people have a hard time keeping food down. So this dish has become very popular, not just in the north, but also in the south, where summertime and warm weather can be brutal. I mean, there are hot periods that really kind of defy any kind of mobility, but if you have a bowl of cold noodles, it'll actually cool you down. So yeah, a lot of the different flavors that we see here in this particular restaurant are kind of elements of historical parts of Korea, but you know, in Seoul, like any big city, we like to have everything all at once, no matter where it comes from.
And how do you say the name of the restaurant again?
It's called Daldonghae.
Okay, 감사합니다.
Chummaneo.
So I'm in the upper level of the Scarborough Town Center Mall, and I'm here with Angelica, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and these are, I believe, Korean-style macarons. Look how thick that is. So, like, what would be the difference between this and a typical French one that's, like, divided into thirds?
So usually French macarons are a lot smaller. They have less filling inside. Most of the time it has jelly as opposed to cream. They're also a lot sweeter, I feel. Macarons from Korea are a lot less sweet. They have more inside of them, so there's a lot more in the bite.
Okay, so I love some of the options you have here. You have, like, white sangria, milk chocolate, Oreo, poached apple, and then this one is, I believe, rose lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have a personal favorite here?
My favorite is the injeonmi. Just that yellow one right there.
And that would be like the Korean roasted soybean powder?
Yes, that's the one.
And then what do you call these over in the corner?
These are called decois. They are a love letter to French desserts. So they are like cake sandwiches.
Okay, so when you kind of crush it down a little bit, it's still thick. And you're correct. It's not as sweet. I definitely taste the citrus, but I think this is a really cool idea. How long have you been at this mall here?
So we've been here since July of last year, 2022.
And so your favorite decois is the black sesame.
Yes, correct.
Now, I notice when I start touching the bottom, it softens right away.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually going to be softer than the macaron shell.
Definitely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's the difference between the top and the bottom of the top shell and the bottom shell?
So this one particularly has a nice coating of white chocolate that gives it a little bit more sweetness.
Okay.
But it balances between the two because these are not very sweet. So the black sesame mousse itself is more on the savory side. Mostly black sesame is savory. So we pair it with something like this so that it sweetens it and it gives that like pillowy
Yeah,
texture.
this, and like my finger kind of caves into the bottom. Great.
Yeah.
The Social Blend also has a location in Eglinton, right off the 1 line, very easy to get to. And while I'm here, I'm going to try things that I did not try at the Scarborough Town Center Mall. So this is their Basque style cheesecake. There's the original, there's the yuzu, this one here is chestnut, and this is cookie flavor, and I believe also on the inside there's a cookie mix. So I also have their custom tea. So this is TSB tea, and I'm told that it's a mix of black tea, condensed milk, and a shot of espresso. So let's see how this goes. It's really interesting how they blend together. I feel like a little bit of a jolt from the espresso, but I would say the tea is definitely the dominant flavor. They must not be using a lot of condensed milk. It wasn't like overly creamy. So now I'm going to try the Basque style cheesecake. Okay, so this Basque style cheesecake, trying to describe it if you've never had it before, it's not as smooth as like a New York style cheesecake. It's also maybe more airy, not as dense. It's cooked at a high temperature. So you can see like it's cooked on the top. The yuzu, the gentleman I just talked to told me this is his favorite flavor, but I got myself a box of 4, and I really love the desserts at this place. I'm at Lahore Tika House in Toronto's Little India. So I was here on a food tour back in 2021. I met the owner, Gulshan. She has a fascinating story, originally from Uganda, settled in Toronto. This restaurant's been here for around 25 years. So I'm trying some things that I didn't necessarily get to try during the food tour last time. So right here, I have the vegetable samosas. I also have the vegetable biryani right here. You can see how high that is. And then I also have the butter chicken. I believe this was part of the food tour I did, but I also have right here sesame naan to try this with. I think I had the butter naan last time, but I got a chance to see the oven this is made in. And then finally, I have 2 dishes in one here. So this is the hot sizzling plate. It's since cooled down, but this has the beef ribs, and it also has the lamb chops, as well as these peppers, which they come and put on after it cools down a little bit. And then for my drink, last time I had the mango lassi, this time I'm having Faluda. So this is a really popular Indian drink. I first discovered this in Chinatown. I'm sorry, not Chinatown, but Little India, which is next to Chinatown, in Little India in Yangon, Myanmar. So you could also find this at Indian restaurants. This is a Pakistani restaurant, though, named after the city of Lahore. That is the Taj Mahal behind me. And then you have that really cool rickshaw right there. So the first thing I'm trying is a samosa. That's green pea, potato, and spices. I'm trying it in the yogurt. Very crispy on the outside. So the butter chicken, I'm trying it with the sesame naan. It's very smooth. I like the little bit of crunchiness that I get from the sesame naan. Now the vegetable biryani, there's large pieces of potato in it. There's some cauliflower, chickpea. There are spices in it. It's basmati rice based. But now the lamb chops, they have kind of a red-orange tint on the outside. You can tell those spices are cooked into it. But my absolute favorite out of everything I've tried here are the beef ribs. So yeah, the beef ribs are my favorite. To me, the flavor's the strongest. It's not super spicy. I feel like it has a slight tang to it. And I always do this where, what would I order again if I came back? Well, besides the Faluda, which is sort of a dessert, I would definitely order the beef ribs again. I hope when you're in Toronto, you'll head down to Little India, check out Lahore Tika House. One major plus besides the delicious food is that this place has a little parking lot. There are a couple rickshaws out there, so you could definitely tell when you're passing this place. So I'm not done eating yet. I'm gonna have the almond kulfi. You can see the little almond on the bottom. I believe last time I had the mango. I'm south of Lakeshore Boulevard. They call this area the beaches, so there's a boardwalk behind me, and if you can kind of see off in the distance, they're just dismantling the volleyball courts. You have volleyball games here during the day. It's a really cool place to watch the sunset, which I'm just about to do. And the water behind me is Lake Ontario. Now I'm standing at 346 meters. It took 58 seconds to get up here on the elevator, and that was 22 kilometers per hour in there. So behind me are the Toronto Islands, and then off to my left, you could see Billy Bishop Airport, and that's where I flew into, I believe it was last June. After you show your ticket, you'll pass through this area where you'll see exhibits all about the construction of the CN Tower. So back in 1976, which was the same year Canada had the Olympics, this was the tallest standing free structure in the world, and it was also the world's first glass floor experience as of 1994. And what would any top attraction be without a hashtag and an Instagram handle reminding you to let people know where you're visiting? Here's a replica of the CN Tower lit up, but what I really like are these little neon lights that hang over the gift shop. And then there's also a moose. Not sure if that's Maurice or not. They take everyone's picture on the way to the elevator, and then they give you this little yellow ticket, and you can use it to claim your picture. From the top, you're at 346 meters. Down here is the Fairmont Royal York, where I stayed during my first visit to Toronto. And then off to the right is Union Station. That's how I got here from the airport. And then over here is Lake Ontario. And if you're wondering how people get from Billy Bishop across this water into the city, I'm told that there's a tunnel that goes underground. But check this out, my first Toronto visit, it was for a baseball game. And you could see what used to be the Sky Dome right down below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you got some useful tips from this video, and I hope you get to visit Toronto soon. I'm really glad that I did the CN Tower at night, so I got to see the city lit up like this. If you like this video, please subscribe. I got some more trips coming up soon. I got San Antonio, Texas. I got Jacksonville, Florida. I got a trip to Alaska in the works. And thank you very much for watching.